Oh, this is something. Truly, I'm so honored, really. When I just look at that booklet and all those names that have gone before me, it's really something of a tremendous honor. But Bishop Bambera, I'm honored too that you made the trip here to be with us. It means a lot. But not only being honored, I think, but also being very humbled. We hear millennials. Well, I was a child of the Great Depression. There were hard times, hard for people to realize, today. And you already have recognized there my niece and nephew, Scott and Mary Ann Lloyd. But difficult times as they were, my father was a plasterer who lost his job in the Depression. My mother, at the age of 14, her mother died, and she had to take over the running of the whole household. So this is the sort of thing you were faced with at that time. But coming out of that, the one thing that mother and father wanted, to make sure my sister and I had the best possible education so that we were never left in the position that they were in the country and so forth. So indeed humbled. And no one would be more happy today than my mom and dad to see the niece and nephew there, two doctors. Because I always thought, and my mother especially, my son the doctor. She always thought that. When I broke the news to her, that I was going to become a Jesuit there or wanted to study and so on, her reaction was, oh? So years later, she got her wish because both of them were in med school and they came separately, the one from Columbia Medical and the other from Georgetown Medical, to see her when she was in the nursing home. But also, I'm filled with thanks to God for ability, certainly, to serve, and also good health. And after the last week or so there in the hospital with my colitis, I'm especially appreciative there of the doctors. But Sister Ann, I want to thank you also, because I think you typify what Scranton is all about, what the people are all about. We have so many good laughs because the ordinary Sunday afternoon would always be roast beef at the Walsh's. And of course, with their mom and dad, Jim and Helen, they were just very special people, but they typified what Scranton was all about. Very welcoming, caring, ready to help. That was the type they were. So when I see John A. Walsh, of course, what he's done with his life with ESPN, Jimmy, and Ellen, each one of them, and what they've done. And I use them as a typical, real example of what the people of Scranton were like. And they were also always encouraging me in everything I did and tried. So it was very important. Thanks, too, to my Society of Jesus. This has been my first and only assignment as a priest, which is extremely rare. It just never happens that way. And all my Jesuit brothers there, they've been to many different places and what have you. I never had any desire to leave Scranton. I truly loved it. I truly loved the people. So that's why it was so easy for me to, with Scranton Prep and the university, because it always gave me the impetus there and was very important. Thank you, too. I have to single out Timmy Prowl here because he got his start, of course, in admissions. We have to point that out. And he says people don't realize the job that he's done all these years and this night and what it takes to do that. All the details, never ending. And he does it with a certain gracious way about him, which is wonderful. And while we're absolutely. And while we're thanking Timmy, I look over there also. I want to mention Dolores Bizarski. Now, Dolores was my right-hand person. She was the office manager for 31 years at the university. And she was responsible really for so many things that we just took for granted. So I was so happy that she was able to be with us here tonight. So congratulations again, Dolores. Because she really ran the place there, that's for sure. But now, I want to just say a word there about your presidential scholars. That was always very important to me because the presidential scholarships, they just didn't exist, think back when I started in 1966, there were about 375 freshmen in the class, maybe 1,200 in the school, something like that. And presidential scholars were very important, but they didn't exist. So we had to get things sort of together because I looked upon the presidential scholars as setting the tone for us, so important. And I'll be honest with you, I think one of the things I enjoyed most was making the phone call to tell the person that they received a scholarship, a full tuition scholarship. It was later that we started calling them presidential scholars. So that was very important, and I always enjoyed that phone call because you get anything from, "You're kidding." Me? Not me. Put your mother on the phone. Things like that. So I always enjoyed it so much. They mentioned 90 years old. How about that? It's funny, I think of a dear friend who's no longer with us, Leo Moskowitz. Well, when Leo hit 100, and many of you know him, when he hit 100, I can remember someone asking him, "What's the best thing about hitting 100?" And he snapped right back, "No peer pressure." Well, I'm beginning to notice that. I noticed somebody accompanied up on the stage to make sure I got there, with him. People holding doors. Do you need a hand? That sort of thing. But I'll just tell you one little story. You mentioned so much about the golf. We played, my golf partner, by the way, was Judge Conaboy for some 35 years, I guess. And we had a nice little Tuesday night league. And it was a lot of fun, we really enjoyed it. And so we started off this year. I point out the judge is a year older than I am. So we played this one nice team, and they were a little taken with themselves, they thought it was well. And we managed to knock them off. But the funny part was we're having a drink afterwards and so on. And the one poor guy's looking pretty sad, with him, and we're saying, "What's wrong? What's wrong? You guys just don't understand. Me going home and telling their wife 2 90-year-old guys beat me." That was funny, so we did enjoy it. So 90 years old. Do you realize I was 21 when Hillary was born? I was 20 when Trump appeared. 90 years by the numbers. I was 72 years in the Society of Jesus. Well, there's some more now. 60 years a priest, 58 of those years, and I think this is the amazing thing and something which does my heart so good here with them. They were spent in Scranton. 58 years here as a priest. 31 as Dean of Admissions. I spent 14 years in the dorms, 8 years as headmaster. And I'm not saying that to brag here. I'm saying it how blessed I truly am. So what's the bottom line? The bottom line is students, because they keep you young. 58 years, I saw 10 presidents. Father Long, he was the first one. He taught me an awful lot. You can take a stroll, but so many things, as he taught me. like leaving a paper trail. If you were in school, whatever it was, always do that. So little things, important things. You look at the school today, and you walk by, and Linden Street doesn't really exist as far as the school is concerned, but that used to be a very dangerous place because I'd be taking students and their parents around, and I'd have to say, "Stop, watch that car coming now." And sure enough, a car would whiz by, So that's the sort of thing, that you don't realize with the school. Times have changed, sure, the buildings have changed, and needs have changed. And just look at the factor of co-ed now, so important. But gratefully, and this is the important part, our spirit is still very much the same. We're a family, and to describe Scranton, you need to experience it. And that's understood. And you see that very much with students, they ask them, well, how's Scranton, Well, you really have to come to experience it to know. And admissions is only the beginning of that whole process. The goal really is to develop a product that we can be proud of. And over the years, I've sort of developed my own little description of a Jesuit product. Sure, there's a necessary gathering of information and all the rest. But after that, we want a person who knows how to think clearly, who can stand on his or her own 2 feet, have something to say it well. A person who has left a place for God in his or her life. That's my little idea of what our goal is. So finally tonight, and you saw a little mention of it before, you learn very quickly that it's not you, it's Christ working through you. You're only the instrument of God's grace. The words are a favorite of mine and are taken from Dag Hammarskjöld, the late Secretary General of the United Nations. To live life and men as God loved them, for their sake, for their infinite possibilities, to wait like him, to judge like him without passing judgment, to obey the order when it's given, never look back. And he can say, and for you, and perhaps he will, and he will for you, but it's not you that matters in his hand, because every moment has its meaning, its greatness, its glory, its peace. God bless you now, and thanks for listening to me. Bye-bye.